go. I think the transition phase is over. There isn't too much pollen out in the world anymore. We're getting into full-fledged, just summer sun, heat, and well, that's pretty much the fucking gist of it. That's nice for me. I've been blowing my nose like a fucking animal for the past like 4 weeks, and I'm glad to finally be able to breathe out of my fucking nasal cavity. You know, that's something I'm kind of interested in. I've tried them before. The nose strips, sort of it's like this adhesive, kind of plasticky, elastic thing you stick on your nose, and it basically opens you up. I definitely need to start sleeping with one of those on for sure. Maybe even training. Maybe even training with them. You know, that's get some more oxygen without so much load to actually, you know, manage. We've all been there. We've all had a fucking stuffy nose and you're doing legs. Not awesome. Not particularly ideal. But I'm not highlighting that that's happening right now. I'm just saying it's just something that's off my plate, per se. But actually getting into the training for today, 30 minutes of cardio done. And look, I can understand when you're dieting down and you're in a deficit and you're actually depleted, you're legit making fat loss progress. 30 minutes of cardio can be kind of tricky because you're on low energy mode. You're on low fucking energy mode, like you're tired, you're not as like amped up for your training. So fed cardio on a bulk, it is so fucking easy. I mean, I'm burning the same 300 calories per hour like I was before. Or no, 300 calories every half hour. Sit on the seat of the bike for 30 minutes, pedal at like level 10 difficulty. I think 90-ish RPM. That ends up adding up to, 300. What the machine says is 300 calories an hour, or every half hour. Which, whatever. As long as I want you to break a sweat 15 minutes deep and then maintain that sweat for another 15 minutes. That's about right, in my opinion. Get your heart rate up in the 140s, consistent. But dude, the cardio when you're bulking, it's so easy. It's not even a fucking chore. Like, I'm not even, because I've got so much extra energy now that I'm eating excess calories. Like, all I have to do is do it. So I could maybe understand why you're skipping your cardio, because you're like, oh well, it's hard. If you're bulking, even if you're just eating in maintenance, 30 minutes of cardio, that's not that tricky, man, you know? And I say that like I'm ripping on you, because I'm trying to make you listen. This is me talking to anybody who's not doing their cardio on a consistent basis. But I promise you're going to see better gains and results in the long term if you've got your cardio down pat. Because it's going to play into fucking everything else, you know? Like if you're, what's a good way to fucking describe this? Right. Let's say gains, the process of making gains is like you're trying to push a massive fucking stone across the ground, right? If your sleep is totally shit, you're not drinking enough water, you're not eating enough protein, you're literally just not eating enough food, and you're not doing your cardio, then that analogy would look something like trying to push a massive like square stone. You're not gonna be able to fucking push that thing, you know? But as soon as you get your sleep in order, that stone starts to get a little bit rounder. As soon as you get your calories in and you're actually eating a consistent, gram per pound of body weight of protein, that stone's getting even rounder. You're taking all your pre-workout, everything, you're training hard, it's getting rounder. You start adding your cardio, now you're just pushing a massive fucking marble ball. It's going to push like nothing, So if you can get everything outside of the actual training in order, then, let's just say this, your rate of progress should begin to astonish you, right? So that's all I'm saying there. I'll finish my cardio rant. Do your cardio. You're going to enjoy having done it. Now, it takes a little while to see the results. That's kind of the downside. You don't just do 30 minutes of cardio and then you're suddenly Mr. Olympia. But it will help. And I say that with my full chest. So, plan for today with arms, triceps, biceps, and then I'm gonna add some direct forearm work in, but not today, because I'm thinking that I'm only going to do back, my back day lift every other sort of, loop in the workout split. So that's going to leave me with an extra day. I think I might just make that forearms and like calves, or just, really whatever sort of accessory work I want to do. So in a way, I'm going to have a lighter day kind of planned, but I think I'll just replace one of my back days with some forearms and whatever else. But for today, the drill. I'm talking heavy pushdowns, I'm talking heavy single arm pushdowns, heavy machine dips, some rope squeezing stuff, maybe not some skull crushers yet. I'm a skull crusher fan, but I feel like it's something to be taken, with its flaws. Heavy skull crushers are very, let's just say they put an interesting torque on your elbows to the point where I'm not going to be slamming like 5 sets of really heavy skull crushers every workout. I mean, I'm just wrenching my fucking tendons. So that's where, I like a straight up kind of normal push down, just because it's a much more natural kind of movement path. And my elbows like it, which is not something to be disregarded. If your elbows feel really good doing rope pushdowns, rope extensions, but they really fucking like doing any kind of machine dip really hurts your elbows, like right here, this kind of rounder part of the end of it is just like on fire, then yeah, maybe don't do that. It's a pretty awesome system how if you're doing anything that's basically hurting you, you get an immediate signal like, dude, don't do that. What the fuck, man? So that's where you can be a little bit picky with your machines and your movements, because what ends up feeling good for you. So it's a pretty obvious feeling when something does not work. It's a little bit less obvious when something's really working. That's where you've got to have the presence of mind as a lifter to say, whoa, I can seriously feel my entire long head of my tricep contracting when I do this sort of kneeling push down. So, keep your eyes open, make sure you're really kind of in tune with whatever muscle you're training, and then eventually you'll kind of get your own little repertoire of go-to movements. Like, I try to do a lot. I try to change it up, do different kinds of D handles, overhand, underhand, single arm, rope, but I definitely go back to a couple staples more often than not, just because I know they're going to work for me. For arms, that's going to be straight up, either straight bar push downs or kind of the easy bar kind of push downs. Real heavy, nothing fancy there, just pretty classic. I like single arm D handle push downs. I like the machine dip, and then I like some underhand, 2D handle kind of extensions. Right, that's a pretty good example of a couple classics. And then same thing with biceps. Alternating dumbbell curls, probably my favorite, just because it's, it's perfect, man. Right? If you're trying to fucking hit a nail into a piece of wood, you can use all sorts of shit, but a hammer's going to do the job pretty well. So the alternating dumbbell curl, I think, is pretty much my bread and butter. But I still love doing like seated concentration curls and preachers and cable, and like machine curls where the movement path is totally locked. It's just whatever I know is going to let me really load a considerable amount of weight into the targeted muscle, bicep, tricep, chest, whatever, and then be able to bring it, make it a hard set, and fucking see the results that come afterwards. So I think I'm not going to do a ton of alternating arm days now, because I'm sure you've seen a lot of arm workouts where it's like one set of push downs, one set of curls, or maybe like 3 sets of triceps, then 3 sets of biceps, back and forth like that. I like that when I'm dieting, just because I'm not getting so physically pumped, because I'm flat, I'm carb depleted. But now that I'm bulking up, I'm not even really peak fullness yet. This morning I was 243, so that's about 4 pounds since the beginning of this kind of bulking phase, which it's a pretty stable kind of increase in intramuscular carbs, water, glycogen, everything. But even with just 4 pounds of extra kind of fluids floating around in my system, I'm going to be able to fucking feel it, So half the reason why I'm not going to do tricep set, bicep set, back and forth like that, is I'm going to be too pumped. I know that's something That's strange to hear from my mouth. That's fucking ludicrous. Sam, what are you talking about? You can never be too pumped. But let me explain. You know, what'll happen is if I'm doing a supersetting kind of arm day, if my triceps are fully pumped, it's going to kind of limit my fucking range of motion on my bicep curls because I'm now fighting against the internal tension my triceps have behind me. And then same thing with push downs, almost in two ways, because if I've got a crazy bicep pump and I'm doing heavy tricep push downs, for one thing, it's going to be a lot harder for me to fully extend because my biceps are now trying to keep my arm from getting completely straight. But when my biceps are fully pumped, what'll happen is when I get to the top kind of stretch position of a push down, my forearm kind of runs into my fucking bicep and it sort of takes the tension off, which I'm not saying that's an inherently bad thing, right? It just kind of changes the strength curve of the movement. But when I'm bulking up, I'm much more prone to take a, let's just call it a simpler approach. Totally wreck triceps, and once they're done, once they're fully cooked, change gears, start throwing some hard balls, some curves, some fastballs at biceps, and really fucking thrash them until completion. So nothing too fancy there. I definitely feel carbed up. I've had about 300 grams of carbs so far, 120 grams of fats, and 80 grams of protein from a variety of sources. Breakfast this morning was 25 grams worth of egg whites out of a carton, 4 whole eggs, and then 4 packs of instant Ben's oatmeal, or Ben's Original. No, that's the rice. I can't remember. Like the Quakers, like flavored oats, did the peaches and cream. So this morning's breakfast was 100 grams of carbs there. I think there's like 4 grams of sugar, which is kind of what I'm looking for. Like I want to overload my carb intake, but not do too many sweets, just because I do know it's kind of stressing my system out a little bit, or maybe not even a little bit, kind of a lot of bit. So I want to see what happens when I chill out on the sugar intake and really kind of maximize more slower digesting carbs. But 50 grams of protein, about 25 grams of fats, and then 100 grams of carbs. That was a perfect fucking breakfast for me. I'll probably just end up recreating that as this bulk progresses. You know, if you find something that works, why change it? But I foresee in my mind's eye a nasty arm pump. So let's just get it started. Nothing crazy. And I really need to get like a gym pin or something so I can actually load up a ton of plates. But I'm going to start off with a set of sort of lighter controlled squeezing push downs. Kind of like my logic with back. Like if I start with something lighter squeezing, by the time I'm fully warm, heavier sets just kind of feel better, you know? So maybe that's something you already kind of understand, but a little newish to me. Slightly wider grip. Yeah. Yeah. We'll rest pause action. Oh man. A few more. Just like that'll be perfect. Yeah. 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 Okay. Okay. Ooh. One more. One more just like that. Feeling a little long head because I'm trying to keep my arms tucked in. Rather than do a little this, do something more like this. But good starter. Oh. Yeah. 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 Oh gosh. Make the rest pause. Oh, fuck, man. These feel sweet. Let's do another one. You know, if I do 3 sets of something and I think another few sets are still going to feel good, I got no problem spamming the same movement. I've had arm days where all I did was just dumbbell curls because they fucking hit the spot, man, you know? So I think on average, yes, your workout's variability is going to play a factor. I wouldn't want to do only these push downs forever for triceps, but on just a lift by lift basis, if I know I'm going to have a good tricep day doing just this, I might just do 8 sets of these in a row and call it a day. So that's my thoughts there. What's the point of doing 6 different movements if one will do the trick? But of course, each muscle or each movement is going to hit it in different ways. So that's where I say change it up workout to workout. Yeah. Yeah. One more and then move on. Make it drop set. Oh my goodness. Ooh. All right. Let's pick something else. Make some long double underhand extensions will be perfect. A little lighter than those straight bar pushdowns, but half of that is just because you're a bit weaker in an underhand pushdown than you are overhand. So benefit, don't need as much weight. Yeah. Okay. One more. Probably drops that too. Okay. Okay. I think let's go back, just finish with the regular set of straight bar pushdowns again. And that'll be it. Tries are fucking wrecked. Last one. So, of course I'm gonna go hard on every set, but if you're gonna slack off on any, make sure it's not the last fucking set of your lift, you know, because you got nothing else left to do. At least for triceps. I've still got buys, but you get the sentiment I'm aiming for. Okay. Let's call it there. Let's get some dumbbell curls started. Tries, cooked. Plan now, and I feel strong. Even me just doing warm-up curls, getting ready for this working set, when I grab the 55s, like nothing. But I'm beginning to actually understand, and I've said this before, but I'm actually starting to understand there's probably no point in curling the 80s. I mean, all I'm doing is tweaking my wrist every so often. When a good set with the 60s for sure, maybe instead of 8 reps, it's closer to 15. I think it's going to do the trick. You know, I'm still going to do my heavy sets, but if it's at the cost of like an unnecessary little tweak, that's stupid. It's foolish, you know? So I'm going to take the 60s for just as far as I can. Nice and slow and controlled as well. At least for the first portion of the set. If I can get these fucking straps on. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh my god. Oh. Perfect. Same thing as triceps. That felt good. I'm gonna do as many sets here as I feel like. Could be 7. Probably just a few more though. Okay. I'm gonna breathe for a second. Make that a rest pause. Okay. Let's keep going. This okay. Make it a rest pause. Okay, that's enough. Holy crap. Okay. Let's do some machine preachers or something. Woo. That's some good ass dumbbell work though. It's been a little while since I've done this machine, and I do have a specific technique for it. For me, I don't know if it's because my forearms are weirdly angled or I've got some kind of muscular something or other, but for me to sit here and do this preacher machine and hold this handle, my arm just doesn't love it. I feel like I'm getting a lot of forearm activation. I'm not even working my biceps. It's kind of tweaking me. It just doesn't, I don't like it. I'm not built for it. But a perfect workaround, grab one of these D handles. So if I'm doing the right arm, I'm gonna wrap it around the right side and it kind of holds itself in a position here. And when I'm pulling with the D handle, it gives me a little bit of extra range of motion or freedom of motion, and it feels better. You know, so make use of the equipment you have. If something that doesn't totally jive with your build, maybe just do a little tweak to it, see if you can get it working. But moderate weight, this is gonna be a much more of a squeezing burnout set than anything really heavy and brutish. Yeah. Oh, God, fine. Yeah. with a machine like this, single arm, you don't have to worry about balancing. It's perfect for some self-assisted reps. And I really think that's a part of your training which you should implement. For the most part, straight sets are your bread and butter. Pick a weight, do it until you can't do it. Go hard. That's going to be a good set. But if your gym has some boys with you, I think you got to grab them sometimes and say, look, I'm going to hit failure. I want you to help me with 5 more. Or if you're feeling extra fucking froggy, say, help me with 10 more, as many as I can fuck. And the cool part about those sets is it's going to feel completely different than normal. Like when I'm sitting here with this one on and I can't even move the weight. I can't pull it up. So it feels like I'm not even pushing as I use my other hand to assist myself and then ride the negative down and repeat it. So with anything single-sided, I think some self-assistance is fucking sweet. But one more here and then we can move on to something else. I don't think biceps are going to have as many sets as tries today. I'm almost fully fucking pumped and fatigued. Those two things should be in combination. Okay, let's go do some easy bar stuff, I think. Whew. Those 2 sets were fucking sweet. Love it. And I want you to take something to fucking heart. Me saying that, me getting to finish those 2 sets, I know I went hard, and I get to stand up and say, those are some 2 fucking good sets. Sweet. That is gonna make your workouts more enjoyable. You know, your brain doesn't necessarily know if a compliment is coming from your own fucking mind or from somebody else. So, you know, every time you do something good, if you give yourself a little mental, like, good job, subconsciously, that's going to have an effect. And you're going to start to enjoy what you're doing a little bit more, you know? So, something to consider. Be positive. And I'm not just saying that in a random motivational way. It's going to make you work out harder and get better gains. Why wouldn't you? I was getting ready to try to grab the 110-pound easy bar, sit here, bust out like, I don't know, 6 or 7 reps, whatever, and then drop it and burn out with the 60-pound easy bar. But I think that trying to do the 110 is a little bit overkill. I don't need that much weight. So I'm going to kind of trim it down a little. I think 90s, kind of nasty, followed by the 60s, lean back up against the wall, really try to stay nice and still and controlled. No body language, no nothing, at least not for the last like 3 or 4 reps. I might get a little swinging in just to bust them out. But I'm going to start that second portion, the lighter portion of this drop set, real control. So let's just get hyped up and nasty with it. my God. Okay, that is enough. Arms are fucking done. Let's discuss, well, I'll have a little post-workout fucking chat, but let's go pose down before it starts to fade. All right, so what was that for biceps? Only, I think 3 sets of dumbbell curls, 2 sets of that machine curl, then 1 of easy. That's 6 sets. That's about right. I mean, I feel fully fatigued and pumped, so I don't think doing any more is necessary. And don't make it, don't take that the wrong way. I'm not saying that there's one specific number of sets, which is like the absolute perfect amount of volume, and I do that every time. It does look like this. You know, let's imagine a graph here, right? 0 to 100, fucking intensity, 0 to really intense. Or no, effective. 0 to effective, right? I think around like that 7 or 8 hard set mark, that's where your peak effectiveness is going to come from, hard, legit working sets. So to do any more than that, it's just unnecessary, you know? But that puts the responsibility on you, the lifter, to make sure that those 6 or 7 or 8 sets that you do are all fucking legit. You know, when I say 6 sets, I mean 6 good, hard working sets. You know, it doesn't happen often, but on rare occasion, when I come into the gym and the first working set that I do kind of sucks, like, it mainly only happens with sometimes quads and hamstrings. If I'm starting on leg extensions, I can do a set where I'm hyping myself up. This is the first working set. And then I can tell like I kind of gave up early. I didn't really push it. But that set doesn't count. I don't count that. Like, sure, I did work, but I'm like, that's not a real set. And then the next one, I actually bring it. And that's the first legit set of the workout, you know? So when I say 7 or 8 sets, whatever, 7 or 8 hard ass fucking baller sets. That's what I want the workout to be composed of. But let's pose down before the pump diminishes. There we go, right in the center. Make sure right in the middle. Yeah. Whew. That that is most certainly what I would call a fucking arm pump. Let's get a little side tricep action in here. Ooh, there we go. It's kind of fucking hard to reach behind myself like this when my arms are fully pumped, but very nice. So over the course of the next 24-ish weeks, if I'm guessing, this is going to be a long bulk. I'm talking at least 5 months, but over that period of time, that's what I fucking want, right? More fucking size. So I'm talking bigger arms all the way around, bigger triceps. Shoulders can stay the same size. I want my arms to catch up, if not overpower my fucking shoulders. But that's sort of my thought process there. So now my responsibility is to go home, eat, chill. Fucking perfect. Let's get out of here. There we go. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling the fucking bulk now. It's kind of been a while. I'm used to dieting. I mean, shit, I think this is the longest cutting period I've ever had. It was like 2.5 months. But yeah, there is something special about leaving the gym after a full of carbs pump, because I'm fucking still kind of like swollen and inflated from it, which is fucking a-okay with me. Honestly, the more time I spend pumped, the better. But plan now, probably go home, have I was considering just stopping at the Chipotle, but for me to get enough like steak in the kind of steak tacos that I like, it's kind of not even worth it. I'll just go home and make a steak with some rice and put some cheese on it. Then it's the same shit, you know? That's one thing I'll do when I diet down, is I end up, I didn't do it a ton this cutting phase, but historically, I have actually meal prepped a little bit before and made like 20 individually wrapped, essentially what my Subway order is. Talking turkey, mustard, mayonnaise, lettuce, pickles. But in a diet-friendly context, replace the white bread slices with the keto high-fiber bread. Replace the mayonnaise with low-fat mayo, you know. And well, I guess the turkey's always just turkey, the lettuce is always just lettuce, and so is the mustard. But little things, you know, if you're trying to diet down, if you can find a calorie-smart option, take it. It's going to make your fucking process of dieting so much easier, you know? Like fat-free cheese, love it. Zero sugar barbecue sauce, love it. Diet sodas, diet drinks, anything zero, love it. I'm not I'm not really freaking about any kind of aspartame. I will be a little tricky about like sucralose though, so it's like I'm picky about certain things. But in terms of aspartame, I've never had a problem. I'm not inclined to believe that you're gonna have a problem. But, you know, that's a case-by-case basis. You know, if you drink a diet soda and it immediately gives you a headache, then for one thing, I'm going to be a little concerned and ask you what your electrolyte intake is like. But, you know, whatever. Slam some water instead. Be a grown-up. But, yeah, I'm definitely excited to go home. I'm feeling so well rested. Because I don't know about you, I definitely hear in the literature that it's not ideal to, you know, go to bed on a full stomach or have a meal directly before bed. It's going to impact your recovery. I've never noticed that. I've never seen that as an issue for me, because I'll go to bed and fucking just have a massive ass meal right beforehand. Go to bed with a full stomach. And I wake up like nothing, man. I fucking love it. So that's one thing where if you're dieting, I know I'm bulking, but I'm going on a little bit of a dieting rant here. But if you're dieting, if you're trying to trim down, I think it may be in your best interest, more than likely, to try to save and allocate more of your calorie intake towards later in the day, towards when you're going to go to bed, because then you can actually go to bed with a full stomach. You know, you're about to do ideally 8, really ideally like 9 hours straight of no eating, no drinking. So if you have a big ass meal beforehand, odds are any chance that you're going to wake up hungry or not be able to go to sleep because you're hungry, you're going to mitigate those, you know. And I think if you were to somehow track the time periods of the day which people are most likely to cheat on their diet, you know, and overshoot their calorie limit, I think the majority of those are going to happen at night, you know, because you were good all day. Fuck it, I deserve a little treat. Not good, man. You know, but either case, bulking or cutting, you've got to lock in. You've got to lock in soon. You know, because honestly, there's no wrong decision. Let's say you're about to spend the next 3 months doing something. Now, do you want to bulk up? Set yourself up for a dieting phase later, make some actual tangible strength and size gains? Or do you want to start trimming down, peel off some of the body fat, look at the progress you've already made so far, maybe walk around lean for a little while, enjoy the time period where you're kind of in your show-offy state? Like, either case, you got to pick one. You know, because odds are what happens, and I hear this all the time, it's like, should I bulk or should I cut? The longer that you're in that, you know, position of indecision, is the longer that you're just delaying gains. Like, you're not even trying in a way, you know, because for the lifter who's not like extremely locked in, who goes to the gym, has a workout, comes home, isn't really dieting, isn't really bulking, odds are you're not making much gains. Odds are you're not really making serious progress year to year, month to month. Week to week is a little bit abrupt, but month to month. You know, if you're the same lifter you were 3 months ago, then that means all you've been doing for the last 3 months is maintaining where you're at now. And as time changes, you know, as time passes, if you're doing something and manually putting effort into something, you know, you should be improving at it. So that's where I think if you're on the fence, you don't know if you should bulk, you don't know if you should cut. I'm bulking, so maybe I'm going to tell you that you should start bulking up as well. You know, start chowing down on some extra cups of rice, or get some Ben's Original, or instead of no breakfast, you know, have some eggs, have 4 packets of instant oatmeal, get some cream of wheat, throw some blueberries in there. You know, up the carb intake. Not too many sweets, though I don't have a problem with some sweets when you're bulking up, right? Because if you don't get enough calories in, you're just simply not going to grow. But I'm a bit I'm a bit more convinced, I'm a bit more understandable now that the majority of your excess calories, if they're coming from more conventionally, like, appropriate sources, I'm talking oats, I'm talking potatoes, I'm talking wheat, rice, you're probably going to have a better time, you know. So I have yet to see that per se, but what I'm hoping is, you know, instead of having 400 grams of carbs from just like straight up sweets and whatever else, and primarily focusing on more oatmeals, rice, potatoes, like actual whole kind of food carb sources, what I'm hoping is that it's going to allow me to eat more food for longer, because those are less intensive on my whole system to actually break down, you know. My blood sugar's not going to go too crazy up and down from eating too many sweets all the time. That's what I'm thinking. That's kind of where my head's at there. But right now, I was just talking to somebody, in terms of this bulk, for these next few weeks, I'm in first gear. You know, I've shifted from neutral, which is me dieting down. I'm now in first. 3,500-ish calories. Honestly, 35 might be a little low. I think I might actually need to up it to 4,000, because I keep wanting to eat more. But 35, 4,000, that's about what I'm floating at, and I'm trying not to go over. Like, I'm hungry for more, but I'm gonna keep it here for a little while, because I'm literally already gaining weight, which is the goal. You know, the goal of this bulk is not to eat as much as possible every day. The goal of the bulk is to consistently gain weight. So if I'm gaining weight, that means I'm eating enough to grow. And if anything gets in the way of that, if my weight suddenly plateaus and I'm no longer up in the scale every week, then that's my cue, eat more food, you know. So that's where this ramp up style, this titrating up of calories, I feel is pretty much the approach to a real bulk. And had I known this, you know, 2 years ago and implemented this for my first bulking phase onward, would I be bigger now? Possibly. I can't say for sure, you know, but maybe. But that's where, you know, hindsight's 2020. You got to take every move with the current knowledge that you have at that point and try to make a good fucking decision. So, you know, if you know, oh crap, I said I was going to do a bulk last year. I never really did it. Oh, shit. It's not too late, man. Just start it right now. You know, go on the App Store, look up a macro tracker. It doesn't matter which one. You can do MyFitnessPal. You can get the stupid simple macro tracker, the one I use, which apparently is not that stupid simple. Sometimes you guys comment and you say that it's not very good. But either case, you know, I didn't even used to use a tracker. I would just open my Notes app for the, you know, on my phone, and just, you know, manually change the number of how many carbs, fats, and proteins I'd had that day, and, you know, track it like that. But however you want to do it, if you can make sure that every day, and I'm not talking like, you know, you need to meal prep. I'm not saying you have to do chicken, rice 8 times a day, every 2 hours. You know, I think end state, you know, final state, that's probably the best way to do it, because you really got to optimize every possible vector of your digestion and everything like that. So I'm sure I'm going to get to a point where these meals are extremely rigid and routine, just to make sure I can keep getting them down on a consistent basis. But in general, for someone who's not necessarily super knowledgeable about, like, well, how do I even bulk? How do I even do that? It's very simple, man. You've got the entire day. You have your entire day, and all I need you to do is, before you go to bed at night, have eaten a gram per pound of body weight of protein. You know, so if you're a 160 pounder, I want you to eat a gram of protein for every one of those pounds. I think that's about right. You know, some guys love talking about like doing 2 grams per pound. Not necessary. Some guys say do half a gram per pound. I think that's a little low. I think a gram per pound is about the sweet spot. So do that. You know, maybe get half that number in fats. This is just like a generalization. Like, this isn't totally exact, like a diet plan or anything. But that's kind of what I end up doing. I aim for like about a gram of protein, half a gram of fats, and then I just up the carbs as necessary. You know, so right now I'm at about 3,500 calories, which is enough for me to steadily start gaining weight and refeeding myself. That puts me at about 400 or 300 grams of carbs per se. So as this bulk continues, The fat intake is going to stay about the same. I'm not going to get anything out of 300 grams of fats per day. It's not going to do anything except put more calories in my system. Having extra carb is going to actually make me feel fucking big and full. So the carbs are going to increase, every few weeks. Make sure that my minimum carb intake for that day is now 400 grams instead of 300 grams. A few weeks are going to pass up to 500 grams, things like that. So just fucking start tracking your shit, man. Get a kitchen scale. I can't stress enough that you're missing the details if you're not really watching your diet. And I don't mean watching your diet like don't have treats. I mean watching your diet like not actually hitting your calorie goals. I know guys who say they're bulking, they say they're training hard, and they tell me numbers. These guys tell me, and I know this is such like a cliche kind of like bit, but I'm not lying. These guys are telling me, dude, I'm eating 5,000 calories per day, man, but I'm not growing. I don't say this to them at the time. I just say, yeah, I guess, I don't know, man, fuck. But what I'm thinking is, well, guess what? You're probably not eating 5,000 calories per day. Actually, not probably, you are definitely not eating 5,000 calories per day. I'm not ideally, if you're trying to bulk up, you're going to want to eat enough food to grow, but not so much food, not so many calories that you're just spilling over and converting a lot of it to fat. That's what I would consider a dirty bulk, is bulking to the point of like just high fat, body fat percentage that you don't need to do. But somewhere, maybe 1,000 calories above maintenance, whatever that is for you, I think that's about the sweet spot. And then increase is necessary. But there's a little bit of a cue, there's an indicator that's going to tell you if you're eating enough food or not, and that is your bathroom scale. Don't weigh yourself midday, don't weigh yourself before you go to bed, because you've eaten food, you've drank water, you've walked around, you're probably wearing clothes. That's not going to work. That's not a fucking valuable piece of information. If you weigh 200 when you go to bed, but you're 170 or you're 187 when you wake up in the morning. So how I look at it in terms of tracking your weight: wake up, take a piss, go number 2, no clothes, hop on the scale. That is your real weight. If anybody asks me how heavy I am, if I eat a ton of food and I drink a ton of water, I could be 260 right now. But I'd have just a full stomach of nothing. That's not body weight. So your real weight is in the morning after you go to the bathroom. You got an empty stomach, that's your real weight. So if you weigh yourself like that you don't even have to do it every day, but if you do that, every Friday morning, I'm still going to do it every day because I like the information. But if you weigh yourself consistently and your weight isn't changing, that means you have to eat more. And sure, if you're a guy who doesn't really naturally have a huge appetite, you don't just love chowing down on a crazy amount of food, then yeah, that's gonna suck for you, man. But this is an unfair world. So if you're the guy who you're like, dude, I eat so much already, look, if you want to grow, you're gonna have to eat more. And don't shoot the messenger. I'm just trying to tell you what's up. The same thing is true in reverse. Somebody can think they're dieting hard as fuck. They think they're like, I'm not eating anything, man, I feel like I'm starving. But same thing, if the scale isn't going down, that guy's eating too many calories. And there's tips, there's tricks. All the meals that I'm eating, especially later on down this bulk, I'm going to eat them specifically because I know it's going to be easy for me to eat. And in reverse, when I'm dieting down, I try to make sure I eat foods that are a little bit longer to eat. They're a bit more kind of, not fluffy, but voluminous per se, where it takes a while to eat it. I got a big plate of food in front of me, but it only ends up adding up to like, 600 calories in one big ass plate of meals. So it's not so simple as just eat more and just eat less. There are tips and tricks to go about it, but looking at it from an overarching kind of third person perspective, the guy who's not growing isn't eating enough food, and the guy who's not getting leaner is eating too much. So you got to be able to have the humility to look at your own fucking, let's just say, history of progress and say, crap, maybe I have been eating too much food. Maybe I should be trying to track my macros. I've been kind of telling myself I want to start dieting down, but I haven't really. If that's you, if you've got that little itch I can guarantee if you fucking scratch it by way of actually starting to kind of lock it in, look up some Greg Doucette cookbook recipes or whatever else, and start to get a grasp on the diet side of things, you will not fucking regret it. So that's my ending shtick there. So today was arm day. I'll see you tomorrow for what I think is going to be a pretty nasty ass, carved up, pumped leg day. I better get a good night's rest. So I'll see you then.